And this is NECO 2021 General Mathematics Paper 2, and we are answering question number 3b, and the question reads, you have to find the quadratic equation whose roots are 2 over 3 and 3 over 4. These are the given roots of that very quadratic equation that you are asked to find its equation. So let's attempt to answer this very question together. Solution to the problem. What you do first is to introduce a letter that will now be in your quadratic equation. I let x. So x equals to 2 over 3 is a root, because in the question it says 2 over 3 is one of the roots of that quadratic equation. So x can be 2 over 3, and this is a root. If 2 over 3 is taken to the left-hand side, you now have x minus 2 over 3, and by the right, you now have 0. Similarly, considering 3 over 4 as a root, so x can be 3 over 4. So taking 3 over 4 to the left-hand side, you now have x minus 3 over 4 equals to 0. So you now have two expressions for 0. X minus 2 over 3 is the same thing as 0, and x minus 3 over 4 is also the same thing as 0. So if I multiply two zeros, eventually I must get a 0 as the final answer. So which means if I take the left-hand side x minus 2 over 3, put it in one bracket, and take the left-hand side of the other expression, x minus 3 over 4, put it in another bracket, and multiply the two brackets, I must have 0 as my result. So expanding this to two brackets, we now have x times x, that gives you x squared. X times minus 3 over 4, that gives answer minus 3x over 4. And taking minus 2 over 3 times everything in the second bracket, you now have minus 2 over 3 times x, that gives minus 2x over 3. And minus 2 over 3 times minus 3 over 4. Minus times minus is plus, and 2 over 3 times 3 over 4 gives answer 6 over 12 equals to 0. I copied, which I have by the right. So next, in the attempt to simplify, you clear the fraction. Clearing fraction means multiplying each and every term here by the LCM of the denominators. Denominators were 4, 3, and 12. So multiplying by 12 each and every term. So you now have 12x squared minus 9x minus 8x plus 6 equals to 0. So collecting like terms, minus 9x minus 8x, that gives answer minus 17x. So in the area, you now have 12x squared minus 17x plus 6 equals to 0. And this will now be the quadratic equation with this roots 2 over 3 and 3 over 4. And that answered this very question. So let me just share with you quickly the mark distribution for this very question as it is there in the marking scheme. So the very first mark is method 1 mark, and this method 1 mark is for writing or attempting to multiply the products of two zeros and equate it by 0. You have this method 1 mark. And when you now simplify this, you have expanded the bracket, you clear the fraction, you have this method 1 mark. And when you now arrive at the correct quadratic equation as 12x squared minus 17x plus 6 equals to 0, you have this accuracy 1 mark. So if everything is done correct in this very question, you have 3 good marks.